Programmers are said to be some of the laziest people on the planet, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. In the process, programmers have discovered how to let computers even automate some of the task of programming. You can just type a small piece of code and let the computer repeat that task over and over and over hundreds or thousands or even millions of times. And the best part? Computers never get tired, they never complain, and they never get hand cramp. The programming structures that allow us to do this are called loops, and Python makes working with loops so easy that it's crazy. In this section, you're going to learn all about loops in Python, and this lecture is going to give you an overview of what's to come. We'll start off by checking out while loops by making a simple number counter. While loops are conceptually very simple, but practically very powerful. While loops have applications everywhere, but they're particularly prominent in video games. We'll then immediately apply the concept of while loops to building a program that will simulate the insatiable curiosity of a 3-year-old by asking you questions over and over and over again. It's going to be a lot of fun. After that, we're going to take a look at my favourite type of loops, for loops. For loops are incredibly powerful when combined with data structures that we covered in the last section, and they allow you to loop through thousands and thousands of pieces of data in the blink of an eye. They are absolutely incredible. Here you'll learn how to create for loops and also how to do list comprehensions, a powerful way of creating lists using for loops and logic, all in one line of code. Finally, we'll wrap up this section with another project where we'll make a pig Latin translator. This is going to be a funny translator that will basically convert our words into funny sounding gibberish, unless we understand how to read it. This is going to be a great project to make, to not only test your knowledge of Python, but to share with your friends for a few laughs as well. So this section is basically going to give you magical powers. No joke. You'll be able to do in one line of code what will take you thousands or even millions to do otherwise. Need I say more? I'll see you in the next video. Hello there, you beautiful people. Now in this lecture, you're going to receive magical powers. For real. No joke. You're going to get magical powers and you're going to get them by learning how to use the while loop. Let's go. Okay, so what the heck is a while loop? Well, a while loop is a type of loop that will repeat some code over and over and over again while some condition is true. So let me show you. The way that a while loop is structured is you have the word while in lowercase, you have some condition, a colon, and then inside there, some code. Okay? Now, while this condition is true, this code is going to run over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? So if I just type the word true in here, just like when we use if statements, that's going to satisfy the condition. And let me just print hello. Okay? Now, when I run this, whoa, right? I mean, the computer is just continually running hello, and it's going to run and run and run and run because the condition, if I can actually even get to the top, the condition at the top here is true. So as another example, if I write while 2 is greater than 1, print hello, we're going to see that that runs as well for over and over and over again. And why is that? Well, because, if I can actually even get to the top, man, this is a hassle. Okay, so the reason is because we have a condition, and that condition is true, because 2 is greater than 1. So that's going to give back true, and since the condition is true, the code inside will run over and over and over until this becomes false. And since that's never going to become false, it runs forever. Now, if I come down the bottom again, and I type while false, and I try and print hello, we're going to see that nothing happens because the condition is false. So a while loop will run over and over and over again while their condition is true. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and create a script to show you how we can use this in practice. So let's make a new file in here, and I'm just going to save this on the desktop, Python Bible, as while.py. Okay, now all that's well and good, but why are while loops useful? Well, let me show you. Let's say if I wanted to print out the numbers from 1 to 10. How can we do that knowing all that we know so far? Well, one way I could do it is I could just write 10 lines of code, right? I could just print 1, print 2, print 3, and I could, I could maybe copy and paste this if I'm particularly advanced. I could print 4, print 5, print 6, could keep going. Oops. Print 7, print 8, print 9, and print 10. Then when I save and run that, we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? And that worked absolutely fine. But, just look at how repetitive that code is. Surely there must be a way that we can automate it. Can you see the way that pretty much most of it stays the same? There's just something that changes. One thing changes, and it changes in a very repeatable fashion. Now, when you start seeing something like that, when you start seeing that kind of pattern, where one thing changes or a few things change in a very repeatable pattern, your brain should start screaming to you that you need to use a loop. So let's make a loop. In this case, a while loop. Now, the easiest way to explain this to you is just to show you the code and then explain it afterwards. So here it goes. I'm going to delete all of that, because you know what all that does, and I'm going to make a variable called number. And while number is less than or equal to 10, print number, and number equals number plus 1. Now, when I save and run that, you can see we get exactly the same result. So let's just take a step back and see what happened with the code. We started with a variable called number. Okay, we've got a box with the number 1 in it. Now, our while loop is going to repeatedly check whether that number is less than or equal to 10. Okay, so we start off, is 1 less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. Okay, so that becomes true. We print the number, so we print 1, then we add 1 to the number. So number now becomes 2. So is 2 less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. So we print 2. Add 1 to 2, so now it's 3. Is 3 less than or equal to 10? Yep. Then I add 1. Is 4 less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. Is 5 less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. So we print it. 6. Yep. 7. Yep. 8. Yep. 9. Yep. And 10. Is 10 less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. So we print out 10, and then number becomes 10 plus 1, which is 11. Is 11 less than or equal to 10? No, it's not. So the condition becomes false, and then this code doesn't run anymore, so we don't run it. We don't basically print out that number. But if we go inside the shell, that's the wrong shell. If we go inside the shell, if I can get the right one, here we are. If we print out number, can you see the way that it's 11? Number was changed, and Python checked, is 11 less than or equal to 10? But it's not. So the code didn't run. And that's pretty much exactly how a while loop is working. But the amazing thing about this is, number 1, we only have to write the code once. And we can extend this for as long as we want. Okay, we don't have to copy and paste anything. We can just make it as long as we want. What if I wanted this code, instead of just counting to 10, I want to count 1,500, right? Now let's run that. Look at it go. It's going to repeat the code over and over and over and over again. And I don't have to copy and paste anything. I don't have to potentially make any mistakes. Once I've got it working for just one number, it's going to work for 1,500, and Python's not going to make any mistakes. Tell me how in any other way you could possibly do that without using a loop. How long would that take? And usually when you're dealing with computers, you do want to repeat operations thousands of times. You do want to do things over and over and over again. So look at just how powerful that is. Now there's another thing that I want to show you about how we can combine these loops with logic. So what if I only wanted it to print even numbers? Well, we can come in here and put an if condition, right? So we can say, while number is less than 1,500, if the number is divisible by 2, that's how we do that. We find the remainder of the division by 2, and if that's equal to 0, then it's divisible by 2. Don't worry about it, just trust me. Then we're going to print the number, okay, and increase the number by 1. Actually, no, just increase the number by 1 anyway. So it's going to come in, check if it's divisible by 2, then it's going to print it, and even if it's not, it's just going to add 1 to the number. So watch this. Just by adding a bit of logic, we are now printing out, I'll just show you, we're now printing out in steps of 2, right? We're printing out only the even numbers. And it's very simple. If I wanted to print out all the odd numbers, I just check when that's not equal to 0. And now we're going to print out all the odd numbers, 189, 191, 193, and so on and so on. So you can combine logic with loops and do thousands of computations in what, like 4 or 5 lines of code? I mean, just how ridiculously powerful is that? That's magic. Now, let me show you another example of this when you use lists, okay? Let's say we want to ask a user for a bunch of names up to a maximum of 3 names. Well, what we can do, let me just delete all this. What we can do is we can create an empty list up here, which I'm just going to call L, capital L. And what we can do is while the length of that list is less than 3, oh, it's a nice heart. While the length of list is less than 3, new name is going to be input. Please add a new name. Like that, okay? Now, whatever they input, let's say we strip it and we capitalize it as well because it's going to be a name. Okay, and then we want to append that to the list. L.append the new name. Okay, and after that, we're going to print, sorry, list is full, and print out the list. Okay, now when I run this, look what happens. Please add a new name. Alice, Bob, Carol. Sorry, list is full. Alice, Bob, and Carol. So we can even add things to a list automatically and repeat things over and over and over again. It's honestly, loops are just a game changer, right? See how neat this is. And even if we wanted 5 names, right, or we wanted 10 names, we don't have to repeatedly add this code. We don't have to keep, you know, having a new variable for each name, or we don't have to define a list of names. All I have to do, if I want 5 names, just change that number to 5. Now it's going to ask me, add a new name, and we're going to Alice, Bob, Carol, Dan, Emma. And now we've got 5, right? You see how powerful that is? I mean, that's just mental. We've managed to automate the task of programming itself. I mean, how crazy is that, right? So in summary, while loops will run a certain piece of code as long as a condition is true. And if that, as soon as that condition becomes false, the code won't run. It won't go round the loop another time. That's a more accurate way of putting it. Nice and easy to understand, right? So to really hammer this point home, in the next lecture, we're going to create a simple project that will simulate a conversation with a 3-year-old child using a while loop. I promise you're going to have some fun and in the next section, and you're probably never going to forget while loops as long as you live after making that program. So I'll see you in the next video. Hello, you beautiful people, and welcome to this lecture where we're going to be creating a program that simulates a conversation with a 3-year-old. You know what it's like. Children have infinite questions, and basically no matter what answer you give them, they're always going to ask, but why? And the only way to stop them is to say, just because, and then they seem quite happy with it. So today we're going to be simulating this situation by using a while loop. And by the end of the lecture, you'll be very confident using while loops, and you will also probably be able to have a chuckle or two with your friends, and will never forget while loops as long as you live. So let's get into it. Alright, so as usual, I'm going to go ahead and create a new script, file new file, hit save, go to the desktop, Python Bible, going to call it baby.py, hit enter, save it, maximize, and we're good to go. Okay, so first let's get the baby to ask a question and get the answer that we provide stored in a variable called answer. So as a micro challenge, why don't you go ahead and do that? Pause the video now and just get the baby, or the computer in this instance, to ask any question you like and store the answer in a variable called answer. Use the input function and the prompt as your question. So go ahead and do that now. How'd you get on? Pretty standard right by now, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the baby ask why the sky is blue. Pretty reasonable question. We're going to have answer equals input. Why is the sky blue? Okay. I'm going to put a colon there and just leave that like that. So now I want the baby to continually ask why over and over and over and over until the user answers just because. Okay, so basically, while the answer is not equal to just because, we want the code to run, right? Now, as another micro challenge, I want you to try and construct a while loop that will run while the answer does not equal just because. So pause the video now and come back to see how you got on. How'd you get on? Well, here's how I'd have done it. I'd have just put down here, I'd have a while loop, while answer does not equal just because. Okay, and that would be my while loop. Now, one thing that I want to make sure, can you see the way that just because is all in lowercase? Well, I want to convert whatever the user enters as the answer as into lowercase up here to make sure that it matches the same format. So brilliant. That's exactly what's happened there. Now inside, I need to have the baby continually ask why over and over and over again. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to have answer equals input why, like that. Okay, and again doing the strip and lowercase. I'm also going to do a strip up here. Okay, so now we're going to continually get answers in from the user, which is going to update the answer variable. And so when the user enters just because, that's going to break this loop, right? So let me just show you it working. Why is the sky blue? And we could say something like, because that is how light passes through the atmosphere. You know, if you've got Einstein for a baby or something, right? You click enter, why? And you say something like, I don't know, wavelengths. Why? And you just go, oh, okay, just because. And that's it. The baby's happy. Now, how amazing is that, right? That's bloody, I think that's fantastic. So, however, it's kind of boring to just ask one question all the time, right? So why don't we make a list of questions and then pick a random one from the list for the baby to use? Okay, now go ahead and pause the video now, head over to your script and make a list at the top called questions. Okay, I want you to make a list of questions at the top. Let's say of at least 3 question strings that you'd like the baby to ask, and then come back to see how you did. Welcome back. So here's what I'd do. I'd have my variable called questions, and I'd have in here, why is the sky blue? I'd have, why is there a face on the moon? And I'd ask, where are all the dinosaurs? Questions that trouble me to this day. Now we want to get a random choice from these questions and ask it in here, right? Instead of just asking why is the sky blue, we want to pick a random one from there. Now there's a useful function called the random choice function. Okay, so for that we're going to need to import it because it's not available in Python originally. So up here I'm going to import random. Okay, and actually even better, I'm going to say from random import choice. Now that allows us just to use choice like this. If I just done import random, I would have to type random.choice. So you can see the difference. I've basically just imported the choice function so I can use it as it is, rather than having to do random.choice. Okay, so now I'm going to write the question. Question is going to be a choice from the questions, and then I'm just going to put inside there that question. So we're going to take a random choice from this list, and then we're going to ask the user that question and repeatedly ask why over and over. So let's see how that works. Why is there a face on the moon? Okay, so I'm going to say, I don't know, to keep away all the ghosts. why, and so and so. So we just say just because, okay? And the baby's quite happy with that. Now if I run it again, and actually I'm just going to put that colon and space at the end of all these strings to make it look a bit nicer. Colon and space, colon and space. Maybe break the line there. Colon and space. By the way, you can do that, right? You can just put a colon. Sorry, you can break the line to keep everything all nice like that. So let's run it again. Why is there a face on the moon? We've just answered that. These persistent kids. Let's try one more time. Run. Where are all the dinosaurs? Dead. Why? Just because. Okay. We've obviously got tired of this baby's incessant questions. So, I mean, that's brilliant. Let's just now make it look like the child is quite satisfied with our answer. Okay. We're just going to get the baby to print. Oh. Okay. Like that. So now when we run it, why is the sky blue? Just because. Oh. Okay. And there we are. That's brilliant. So hopefully you've had some fun making this program, and also you've got a better understanding of what while loops are now, and also how to kind of use them with data structures and things like that. Now, while loops are really useful, but there's another type of loop that I like better. For loops. For loops are ridiculously powerful, and I'd make the guess that for loops will come up in practically every single program you will ever write, if it's, of a serious enough length. Like, seriously, every single time I write a program, for loops have always come up. They're amazing and I love them, okay? So for loops are potentially the single most useful thing in this whole course, and I can't wait to show you them because they're absolutely brilliant. I'll see you in the next video. Hello there, you beautiful people, and welcome to this lecture on for loops. This is possibly my single favourite lecture of the whole course, because what you're going to be able to do after finishing this lecture is going to be crazy. It's about to get real, you guys. So in this lecture, I'm about to show you what for loops are and how to create them. The most powerful thing about for loops, in my opinion, is how well they integrate with Python's legendary data structures and enable you to go through thousands of pieces of information in the blink of an eye, all with easily programmable results. So by the end of this lecture, you're going to know what for loops are, how to use them, and how to integrate them with lists, strings, dictionaries, and really any other Python iterable data type to blast through loads of data instantly. So let's get into it. Okay, so what the heck is a for loop? Well, for loops are made up of a variable and an iterable of some kind. On each round of the for loop, the variable becomes the next value in the iterable. This allows you to perform an operation on each value in the iterable, and also makes Python for loops easily expandable. It's probably easiest if I just show you. So I've made a script called for.py, and just like in the last video, let's say I want to print out the numbers 1 to 10. One way I could do it is I could write print 1, print 2, and print 3, and so on. Okay, now I don't want to do that. Right? I don't want to do that. I want to use a for loop. So I'm going to introduce you to a function that I haven't shown you yet. It's called the range function. Okay? The range function is going to create an iterable of numbers. So say if I had range 1 to 11. Okay? What this is going to do is it's going to basically make an iterable that looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It's not going to be a list because a list is its own data type. It's going to make a range iterable. If you're using Python 2, first of all, well done on following through with this course because we've been using Python 3 all the way through. But if you're using Python 2, then range will give a list. But on Python 3, it gives a range iterable. Okay, but it's basically like this, right? You have an iterable of numbers starting at 1 and going up to, but not including 11. Okay, so that's how that works. Now, if I write for number in range 1 to 11, okay, remember that's 1 to 10, basically, print I. Oh, not I, print number. Now, if I run that, damn, look at how easy that was, right? So just by changing one piece up here, just by changing one number, I can now make this run for 1,000 numbers. Look at that. In 2 lines of code, we can get it to print thousands and thousands and thousands of lines, or do operations thousands and thousands and thousands of times. That is amazing. So how did that work? Well, the first thing that it did, first thing that we did was type the letter 4 in lowercase. Idle helped us out by making it go yellow so that we know, the syntax is all correct, and just to say we're on the right track. After that, we declared a variable. I called it number, right? Now, number is going to update every single time we go through the loop. We could have called this anything. We could have called it pancakes if we wanted to, but number is probably more appropriate. We then had the keyword in that we've seen before, and then we had an iterable. Okay, we use range here, but this could very well, it could have been a list. It could have been a list like that. So let's say if I had a list 1, 2, 3, 4, that's going to print out 1, 2, 3, 4. It could have been a string. So say, for example, if I had 4 letter in the string ABCD, right? That's going to, oops, sorry, I forgot to change this to say letter. Now it's going to say ABCD, right? So you have some kind of iterable, and on every time you go through the loop, this variable becomes the next step in the iterable, or the next element. So on the first way through, it's going to be A. So it's going to print A. On the next way through, it's going to become B. So we print B. Then C. We print C. And D. We print D. Now we use number to begin with, right? We use number in range 1 to 1001, let's say. Now, range just basically saves us from typing out a list like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up to 1000. It just saves us doing that typing, but it's effectively the same. Thing. You can also choose the amount of steps. So if I did 1 to 1001 in steps of 2, I think that's the syntax. Is that the syntax? It told me then, you see. This is another trick. On idle, if you wait, it'll tell you how to do it. And yeah, it was right. You start what you want to start at, what you want to stop at, well, where you want to go up to, more correctly, and then optionally the step. Okay, so if I do that, we're going to go up in steps of 2. Let's just go up to 10 or 11. Now you see that we'll go up in steps of 2. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So let's see a situation of where this might be useful. Let's take an example where we wanted to go through a piece of text and count the amount of vowels and consonants in that piece of text. Also, by the way, for those of you who may not be familiar, the letters A, E, I, O, and U, these are the vowels, okay, in the English language. And you've also got the consonants are basically everything else. So let's say we want to loop through a piece of text. Okay, we're going to set a variable to count our vowels. That's going to set that to 0. We're going to set our consonants starting off as 0 as well. Now, for every letter in the word, let's say, hello, okay, if that letter in lowercase is in A, E, I, O, U, these are all the vowels, yeah, then vowels is going to be vowels plus 1. Right? Does that make sense? So if the letter, so it's going to start off as H, we're going to convert it to lowercase, and H is a consonant, right? So is H in A, E, I, O, U? It's not. So it's not a vowel, so we won't add anything to that. But on the next time through, we're going to have E. Is E in there? Yes, it is. So we're going to add 1 to the number of vowels, and so on. That's how we're going to count up the vowels. Okay? Now, else if the letter is a space, because it might be if we've got a piece of text, we're just going to pass and do nothing. But otherwise, then consonants equals consonants plus 1. Now I know this doesn't take into account other potential punctuation, but it works good enough to demonstrate the point. Now what we want to do is we want to print out there are some amount of vowels, format in there the vowels. Now let's copy and paste this. So this is just some string formatting. There are this many consonants, and we want to take the consonants. So we are expecting this to say there are 1, 2 vowels because of E and O, and there are going to be 3 consonants. So let's see how that works. 2 vowels, 3 consonants. Perfect. Okay. Now we could change this to be anything. Let's say if we took our example from before, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Okay. Now let's run that. Apparently there are 16 vowels and 18 consonants. So you can just see how powerful these for loops are, right? It's absolutely mad. Now, in the interest of time, I'm going to cut this discussion of for loops short and save it for the next video. But here, I hopefully, you're starting to understand the power of how all of these things are starting to come together, how we're getting loops in and we're going to get logic in and strings and numbers to create these powerful functions, okay? So I'm going to leave that there and we're going to pick up this discussion in the next video. So we've just seen in the last lecture what a for loop is, how it works, and how to use it with lists and strings, as well as the range function. But how do we use one with dictionaries? Well, first, let's make a dictionary. We're going to make a dictionary of students, and we're going to section them by their gender. Okay, so we're going to have in here, we're going to have male, and as a key, and we're going to have a list of names. We're going to have Tom, we're going to have Charlie, we're going to have Harry, we're going to have Frank, like that. And we're also going to have as another key, female. And in there, we're going to have Sarah, we're going to have Huda, we're going to have Samantha, we're going to have Emily, and we're going to have Elizabeth, like that. Okay, so there's some girls' names and some boys' names in a dictionary. Now, we have a dictionary with 2 keys. The first key is the word male. The second key is the word female. And under each of these keys, we have a list. So let's say we want to go through all of these names and only print out the names which have a letter A in them. Only a letter A in them. So for this, we might want to access the keys of the dictionary. And now if you recall, we can use the keys method to generate an iterable of dictionary keys. So let me show you what I mean. For key in students.keys. Okay, so I need the code on at the end. So this is going to give us an iterable. Remember, for loops need iterables. It's going to give us an iterable, which are all the student keys. It's going to give us male and female. And then as the loop goes round, the key is going to become male, and then it's going to become female, or whichever order it happens to come in. So let me just print out the key to show you this. Print the key. There you are, male and female. Okay, so that's working fine. Now we actually want to get each of the names. So what happens if I print students of that key? We're going to get 2 lists, right? We're going to get the male list and the female list. Now we want to go in there, right? We're going to want to go inside this this list and pull out each of the names. So now watch this. For name in students of that key. Okay, so first we get out the list here. Actually, no, we get the list here. And then for every name in that list, if the letter A is in the name, print the name. Okay, that's all we need to do. So now if I run that, we're going to get Sarah, Huda, because it's got an A there, Samantha, Elizabeth has got an A there, Charlie's got an A there, Harry's got an A there, and Frank has got an A there. But you notice Tom hasn't come out, and Emily hasn't come out because they don't have the letter A in there. So let me break it down again what happened. We made an iterable of all the keys in our dictionary. On each go round, the outer loop, the key became the next key in the dictionary. We made a list, we took each of the lists, right? Because students of that key, so if the key was male, then students of that key is going to become this list, isn't it? It's going to become the list of male names. Now, for every name in that list of male names, if A is in that name, print the name. Now on the next way round, the key is going to become female. So students of female is going to give us this list. For every name in that female name list, if A is in that name, print the name. So basically we go through every single piece of data in just 4 lines of code. If it's got an A in it, we print it out. Now that is mad, right? I mean, just look how powerful that is. That is crazy. So, I mean, that's can you just see how freaking powerful that is? Now, don't worry if you didn't get this in the first attempt. This is how the glorious for loop determines who is worthy of understanding its awesomeness. Jokes aside, it may be worth watching this lecture as many times as you need to make sure that it all sinks in, okay? And playing with it yourself, just get for loops down, okay? You really need to understand that they're insane, right? For loops are an incredibly useful programming tool that you need to know, okay? It's going to open so many doors for you. So with that, let's just do a quick review of for loops and what we've seen so far. You've learned that for loops are another of Python's loops, obviously, and they are made up of a variable, like here we have key, which changes on each cycle around the loop. And the way that it changes is you have some kind of iterable, something that is made up of elements. And on every cycle around the loop, that variable becomes the next value in the iterable. You also learned how to use the range function with for loops to set up numbers to easily create iterable number lists. Well, they're not lists, but number iterables. And you also saw how to combine logic in with your for loops and how to put for loops inside of one another, which is very useful. And just generally, just watch these videos, these past few videos over and over again until it really makes sense. I'm begging you, okay? This is rather advanced, what we've done here, but once you've got it, honestly, it's going to make your life so much easier when you program things in Python. So I'll leave you there, and in the next lecture, we're going to look at list comprehensions, which is how you can combine lists, for loops, and logic all in one line of code to create data structures. And it's mad, okay? It's really good. So I'll see you in the next video. Hello there, you beautiful people, and welcome to this lecture on list comprehensions. Now, list comprehensions are as close as you can get to magic, as far as programming goes anyway, just to their pure simplicity but raw power. In this lecture, you're going to learn what a list comprehension is and how to perform one for yourself. Let's go. So what the heck is a list comprehension? Well, a list comprehension is basically a shortcut method or a bit of shorthand to combine variables, for loops, and if statements to create a list or to comprehend a list in all one line of code. So let me show you an example. Let's say if I want to go through all the numbers between 1 and 100 and create a list of all the even numbers. All I need to write is even numbers equals x for x in range 1 to 101 if x, when divisible by 2, is equal to 0. Now if I print the even numbers, there we are. We've done in one line of code, we have made for every number between 1 and 100 all the even numbers. Now tell me that isn't magic, right? I mean, look at that one line of code, come on. So how does this work? Well, first of all, we have a variable, okay, which we're going to call x. And then this variable x is what is going to be stored in the list, okay? Now, x is going to loop through range 1 to 101. So this is x is going to go, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 100, okay? Now, we only keep x if x when is divisible by 2. Okay, so we go through this iterable, the range 1 to 100, and we only keep x if x is divisible by 2. Okay, so that's how list comprehensions work. Simple as that. So what we could do, let's say, I mean, you could do, it's very easy. I mean, like, it's simple enough if I wanted one called odd numbers, x for x in range 1 to 101, where it is not divisible by 2. And if I do that and print odd numbers, we're going to see that now we've got all of the odd numbers. So let me show you, list comprehensions don't just work for numbers, right? They work for any data type, including strings. So let's say we have a list of words, and our list of words is going to be the, quick, brown, fox, jumps, over, the, lazy, dog. Okay, now I'm going to make another list which is called answer, and that is going to have a kind of it's going to be a list of lists, right? And I'm going to call it w.upper. Let me move my mouse out of the way. w.upper, w.lower, and the length of w. Now, what's w? Well, this is what we tell it now. For w in words. Okay, so W is going to become each word. It's going to become the, then it's going to be quick, then it's going to be brown, then it's going to be fox, then it's going to be jumps, then it's going to be over, then it's going to be the, then it's going to be then it's going to be lazy, then it's going to be dog. Okay, and what we're going to store in our list is another list which contains the uppercase version of the word, the lowercase version of the word, and the length of the word. So let's see that now. Print answer, uppercase, lowercase, length, uppercase, lowercase, length, uppercase, lowercase, length. Okay, now you see the way that it's a list of lists, which is absolutely unbelievable. But the reason I just want to hammer home, why have we got a list of lists? Because we have, I mean, when you do a list comprehension, you always have to have an outer list. But then, like up here, when we just had X, instead of putting X, we put another list inside, and we said w.upper, w.lower, and length of w. And then we told it what w was, w in words, and we didn't actually need an if statement because we just wanted every single one of them. That's going to work just like that. So again, just showing you don't need to assign it and then print it. You can just save it just like that. So I hope you found this absolutely mind-blowing. List comprehensions just really show off Python's ease of use, but incredible power, and let that shine through. And they make creating lists super, super easy once you get them down. Now, when you have your list, you can, of course, feed that into other for loops for more processing, and that's just going to depend on what you want to do. But I'll leave that witchcraft for another day. Up next, we have a project instead. Now, in the project, we're going to create a Pig Latin translator. This is a funny word translator that's going to convert words into a secret code called Pig Latin that will not only combine our knowledge of loops, but it's also going to make you giggle and give you some fun with your friends. So for that, I'll see you in the next video. Hello there, you beautiful people, and welcome to the Pig Latin Translator project. This project is going to be a load of fun and is going to tie together a lot of what we've learned in the past few sections nicely into one project. In this lecture, we're going to have a quick look at what Pig Latin is, and we're also going to see what to expect from the project. So by the end of this lecture, you should have a good understanding of what the project is, how we're going to tackle it, and you should have some idea about how what we've learned about loops, data structures, strings and logic might all fit in. So let's get into it. Okay, so first, what the heck is Pig Latin? Well, Pig Latin is a simple joke language, it's imaginary, that makes regular words hard to understand. So let me give you some examples. If you had the word pig, that would become igpe, right? If you had the word happy, that would become apihe. If you had the word duck would become ukde. And if you had the word glove, that would become uvgle. And things like that. So it just makes words sound a bit more confusing than they otherwise would be. So basically, the way that it works is you take the first few consonants, the first consonant cluster of a word, and you move those to the end of the word. So GL goes to the end. Okay? Then you add the word AY, the sound A to the end. So like if we had pig, right? what's the first? What's the set of consonants? Right, we've just got the letter P, right? So that becomes, we basically take P and move it to the end, ig, p, and then you add a, ig, p. Simple, right? So if that's if it starts with a consonant, but if the word begins with a vowel, right, then you simply just add yay to the end, right? So that's easy enough, right? If you had apple, apple would become apple yay. If you had eat, that becomes eat yay. Okay, so now with those two simple rules, we want to build a program that will ask a user for a sentence and then convert the entire sentence into Pig Latin. Cool, right? So let's plan out our program now using Python comments, as there's quite a lot to do to make this work. So I'm going to go ahead now and create a script. I'm going to go File, New File, Save, Desktop, Python Bible, and I'm just going to call it pig.py. Okay, save, maximize it, and we are good to go. So let's plan out our program now. First of all, we're going to need to ask the user for a sentence, right? So get sentence from user. Then we're going to need to split that sentence up into individual words. So we're going to split sentence into words. Now we're going to loop through all of those words and convert them into Pig Latin. Loop through the words and convert to Pig Latin. Okay. Then we're going to stick those words back together into a sentence. And finally, we want to output the final string. Okay, so that's the general model that I'm going with, and what we're going to follow as we go through making this project. Now you should immediately start noticing some opportunities to use lists and for loops to make this whole project come to life, as well as a few string methods. Now that you have an idea about what the project is, let's get building it. For that, I'll see you in the next video. Hello there, you beautiful people. So let's get into building this Pig Latin project, shall we? Now we already have our outline from the last video, so let's just get on with the first task. We need the user to enter a sentence. Now as a micro challenge, I want you to get the user's input sentence and store it in a variable called original. Okay, but as an added challenge, I want you to convert that sentence all into lowercase before you store it, and I want you to strip away any extra space from both ends of the string before you store it as well, using the appropriate string methods. So go ahead now and give that a go. Now don't be afraid to look in the Python docs or have a cheeky Google search if you can't remember how to do it, as that's how you're going to program in real life anyway, right? So get the user input, store it in a variable called original, but before you do so, convert it all to lowercase and strip away any blank text from the side. So go ahead and do that now, and I'll see you in a minute to see how you did. Okay, so how'd you get on? Here's how I'd have done it. I'd have done original equals input. Please enter a sentence. Space like that. Convert it to, strip away any text. Convert it into lowercase. Job done, right? Very nice. If you got that, then well done. It's really brilliant use of the course content so far, and you should be very proud of yourself. Now, the next step is to split that text up into individual words, which we can convert into Pig Latin. Well, there's a useful string method called split. Okay, this method will split a string by default at each word, so in between each word, and create a list. So let's make a list called words. Words equals original dot split. Okay, now I'm actually just going to print words just to show you how that works. Okay, so I'm going to enter a sentence. Let's just say this is Pig Latin. And as you see, the way that now it's broken them up in between each word and created a list of each word. Very nice. So cool. Now what we need to do, if I go back to our script, now what we need to do is to loop through all of those words and convert them into Pig Latin. So first of all, we need a place to store the new words. So let's make a new variable called new words and just set that blank as a blank list. Now, for the actual conversion, there are a few rules. Let me write them in the comments. If it starts with a vowel, just add yay. Otherwise, we're going to move the first consonant cluster to the end and add a, not yay. Okay, so those are the two rules that we're going to follow. So the first thing we're going to need to do is create a for loop that's going to go through each of these words. I'm going to get rid of the print. It's going to go through each of these words and apply these rules and then save them in new words. So, as a micro challenge, I want you to create a for loop that's going to go through each of the words in this list, in words basically, and print them out to the screen. That's all I want you to do. So go pause the video now and have a go at making a for loop that will print out each of the words in the list, and then come back to see how you did. Alright, so how did you get on? Well, I'd have done it like this. I'd have just gone for word in words, print that word. Okay, now if I file it, save and run this, it's going to ask us for a sentence. This is Pig Latin. It's going to print out each word. This is Pig Latin, but all in lowercase. Fantastic. If you got that, then well done on basically internalizing the stuff we've been talking about with for loops. So this is fabulous, but we don't just want to print out all the words, we want to actually convert each word into Pig Latin and add it to the new words list. So let's head back on over to our script and let's build the case if the first letter was a vowel. Okay, so what we're going to do is in here, we're going to type, well, the vowels in English are A, E, I, O, U, right? And what we want to do is to check whether the first letter of the word is a vowel, right? So the first letter is going to be, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to say if the first letter of word is in those vowels. Okay, now we've got a way of checking whether it starts with a vowel, because the first letter, this is how we get that. If that's in the vowels, i.e. if it's a vowel, all we need to do now is just add yay to the end of the word. So let's create a variable called new word and set that equal to the original word plus yay. Not equals, plus yay. So whatever the original word was, we're just going to add yay to the end. Now we need to put that inside the new words list. So very simply, new words dot append new word. Okay, so we're going to go through each of the words in the original sentence, and if that word starts with a vowel, we're going to add yay to the end of it and then put that inside our new words list. So that is the case for vowels done. Now let's just see how that. Let's just see if that works, right? So let me just print out at the end new words. Okay, I'm just going to print that out actually out here. Now if I just type in eat, it's going to say eat yay. There we go. So that works absolutely fine. That's pretty much what we wanted. What if we had apple? Apple should give us apple yay. So if I run that, apple yay, fantastic. And if I give them more than one, does that work? Let me just go in here. Does that work if I give them more than one? Eat yay, apple yay, working perfectly. Now if the word doesn't start with a vowel, we need to do something else. So let's type the else keyword here. Okay. So what we can do is we need to move the consonant cluster to the end of the word and then add yay. The problem is, how do we know where the consonant cluster ends? Well, what we can do is we can loop through each letter in the word and find the index where the letters turn into vowels. So for this, we need to keep track of the index somehow. So let's make a variable called vowel pos, short for vowel position, and we're going to set that equal to 0 to begin with. Now let's make a for loop to loop through each letter in the word. So for letter in the word, because remember the word is a string, strings are iterable, so we can do this, we can go through each of the letters. Now if that letter isn't a vowel, we want to increment the vowel position by 1. So if it is a vowel, we just want it to stop looping through because we know where our consonants end. To stop it looping through prematurely, what we're going to do is, okay, I'm going to say, first of all, if that letter is a vowel, actually, if that letter is not in A, E, I, O, U, then we're going to say the vowel position equals vowel position plus 1. Okay, so we're just going to continue to move up this vowel position and always assume that the vowel is coming next. Always assume that the vowel is coming next. Okay, but if it is a vowel, so I'm going to put else here. If it is a vowel, we just want to stop looping through because now we know that's where our consonants end. And we're not going to we're not going to keep going through every letter in the word anymore. We're just going to stop the for loop. So for that, we need to use the break keyword. Now the break keyword will break us out of a loop. It'll also work for while loops and put us back inside this else statement because we're in a loop at the minute. We're going round. And by using the break keyword, we're going to break out of the loop and come back into the else statement up here. As a side note, there's also the continue keyword, which kind of does the opposite. That just takes from where you are and goes right back round to the top of the loop again, which we may encounter in the future. It just skips the rest of the loop and goes straight back to the top, which is the next iteration. But for now, we're going to use break. Okay, awesome. Now we know where our consonants end. Okay, so what we want to do is so if it's a vowel, basically, our vowel position is going to be exactly where the first vowel is. So now we need to take a slice of the word up to, but not including that vowel index. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and we are going to take a slice like this. The consonants are going to be the word all the way up to the vowel position. Okay, so now we've got all of our consonants in this variable called cons. Now, positioning this actually is rather important. We need this to be inside this else condition for this to work. Now, the rest of the word, right, we're just going to call that the rest, which is going to be everything after the consonant cluster, is going to be the word from the vowel position, including the vowel, and all the way to the end. Okay, sorted. And that's a bit complicated, but bear with me. Now we just need to take the consonant position and add that onto the end. Okay, add all the consonants onto the end and add yay. So now new word is going to become the rest plus the consonants plus the word or the phrase a. Woohoo! We did it, right? So I think that should be pretty much it. Now we just need to append that word to the new words list. New words dot append new word. Okay, so what we've done is we have found out where the vowels begin. We've cut up to that point and stored that in consonants. See, up to the vowels. Then we've taken the rest of the word, which is the vowels and onwards. And we've created the new word by taking the rest of the word, adding the consonants onto the end, then adding a, just like our Pig Latin rules say we need to. Then we finally added that word to our new word list. So let's try both words together, okay? Let's say we have egg and glove. It's going to say egg yay of glay. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. So let's well, that's pretty much it. Our code is totally working. Okay. Now we just need to stick these words together to make the sentence. Now to do that, let me just get rid of all this. We just need to stick the words back together, then print it out. Okay. So to stick it together, all we have to do is put a blank space and use the join method. Okay. The join method is another string method. And what this is basically saying is join each of the words in the new words list together, but put a space in between them. So let's say if we had a word that said happy and we had birthday, then this would give us this joining thing would give us, but it would basically give us one string that said happy space birthday, because we joined both of these together with a space. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. We basically just joined each of the words together with a space to make a sentence. And that should be, oh no, and we do need to save this in a variable called output. So now we actually have to save that somewhere, and now we just print out that output to the screen. And that's that. So dun dun dun, we can finally print the output. Let's see how this works. Let's enter a sentence, shall we? Let's say, hello, my name is Ziad, and it's great to meet you. Hello, hey, my a, amin a, is ye, id, iadze, and ye, it's ye, eat grey, ote, eat may, ooh ye. What the hell? Okay, that's fantastic. But for sure, you're going to want to share this with your friends and have a few laughs. I hope that made some slither of sense, right? It's quite complicated, but you can see there's nothing in there that you've not been introduced to before, right? It's just the way that you apply these bits and pieces to make your programs, which really is just going to come from practice, and it's going to come from a bit of hard work trying to understand how this works, right? So just watch the video again a few times, try and go through it and make it yourself. This is just kind of what you've got to do to start thinking like a programmer and how you can make these things work, because you know all the little pieces. You know string concatenation, you know slices, you know for loops, you know if statements, you know lists, you know string methods, you know input. So you know all these things. Sometimes it just takes a bit of a push, and you just got to stretch yourself a bit to be able to build more complicated things. And I believe in you. You totally can do it. If you've got this far, this won't be too hard if you look at it once, twice, 3 times. Okay? Reminded me of a song by Lionel Richie. Anyway, okay, this project has been jam-packed with stuff. Some of it was familiar. A little bit of it was new, right? We had the... what was new? We had this join keyword, and we had the break key, this join method, sorry, and we had the break keyword. But other than that, you've seen most of it. And use string methods, use all this stuff all together. And honestly, if you followed with me through this, I'm really, really proud of you. And if you didn't and you found it a bit tough, don't worry, I 100% believe in you. You're going to get it if you watch it 2 or 3 more times. So with the end of that, what we're going to do is we're just going to go for a section review of this section of the course on loops, just to make sure that we've got everything that I've talked about and you've got the main concepts, because that's what's important. And for that, I will see you in the next video. Hello there, you beautiful people, and congratulations on making it to the end of yet another section of the Python Bible. Let's have a quick review of what we've done in this section on loops, and also have a peek forward at what is to come in the remainder of the course. So we started off by looking at while loops. You learned that while loops are loops that continue to run while a certain logical condition is true. To really hammer that point home, you made a program which simulates a conversation with a 3-year-old child that's infinitely curious about everything, as 3-year-olds tend to be. The program will continue to say why, over and over until you said just because, which is usually enough to satisfy the curiosity of a 3-year-old child. After that, we moved on to my most favourite thing in the world, for loops. For loops create a variable and then change the value of that variable as they iterate over a certain iterable. For loops can iterate over lists, strings, and any iterable data type, anything that can be iterated over or indexed. You learned how to make for loops work with dictionaries in our segmented mini database of student data, which was quite awesome. You then learned how to do magic by harnessing the power of list comprehensions. List comprehensions basically give you superpowers. They combine loops, logic, variables, and data structures all in one simple, elegant line of code and can have really complicated functionality. I highly recommend you learn to use list comprehensions thoroughly, as they are absolutely amazing. After that, we tackled our toughest project yet, the Pig Latin translator. This project had it all, from variables to lists to logic to loops to slicing to concatenation, everything. If you followed through with that project and you understood it all and you went back until you understood it, I am super, super impressed with how well you're doing and how far you've come. You are truly and utterly inspirational when we look back from how we started in this course, so well done, and you have my absolute best congratulations. But we aren't done yet. The next section is going to introduce another critical part of any programmer's toolkit: functions. That's right, you know all those useful things we've been using throughout the course with our code? Well, in the next section, you're going to learn how to make your own. And you're also going to build a functioning tic-tac-toe, noughts and crosses, XO, you know that game where you've got to get 3 in a row? That game. You're going to build that in Python so you can play and share it with your friends. Now, this is going to be another game changer of a concept, functions are, and it's really going to help you keep your code manageable, organized, and easily scalable so that no matter what projects you take on in the future, you'll be ready. Now, you're not going to want to miss that section of the course on functions, so give yourself a well-deserved pat on the back for learning all about loops, and I'll see you in the next video.